What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Eddy Live Show, episode number 161. I'm here with Nathan Novak.
Yeah, just call me Nate. That's fine.
Nate. All right. Okay. What's up, Nate?
What's up,
It's
Eddie?
nice to meet you, my man.
Nice
I appreciate
to
it.
meet you as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
great.
man.
Great to be up here.
So they say the strongest man on the island, but he won't admit it. He won't admit it.
Unfortunately, not me.
Brother, appreciate it. Thanks for making the trip from Kaohsiung, man. For this, I'm honored to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Brother, awesome. And have a beer with me.
And
That's
have
amazing.
a beer with you, yeah. And have a beer with me. Great.
You know, sometimes people, when they come on the podcast, they don't want to have a beer. And I'm like, you can just have one. Because this is like my night out. You have a beer, have a nice chat. You know, I'm a big Rogan fan. I think you were saying you're a big Rogan fan. And it's just like, you know, you come and I love it. It was funny because Tony's like, are we going to smoke? I'm like, well, we'll take it easy. We'll probably take it easy on that. But actually, Tony, maybe next time we can do something outside. Yeah, why not? Do a cigar or something. That'd be cool.
Can you smoke in here?
Inside, no, because it's a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So, and usually we do this at about 7 p.m., so it's pretty full and people are like watching and stuff. It's pretty cool, I think. I mean, it started with a GoPro, GoPro Hero 5. Half the time the thing would turn off, old karaoke mics, and then slowly you start to add things and like we were talking about earlier, become a little bit of obsessed with something. Mm-hmm. So yeah, brother.
How did you get the idea to I mean, besides the whole Rogan part, how did you decide to do this?
To do this, basically the restaurant was.
I mean, I think it's a fantastic idea. I wish there were more. Yeah.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I love the conversations that I have with customers, and I picked a slow day during the week, and I was just thinking, you know what, if I could I've always wanted to do this. I've been watching Rogan for years.
You must have many interesting people that come through here as well.
There's a lot of cool people that come through here, man. And before I had the podcast, there was also some cool people that have come through, and I thought, fuck, if I had those guys.
Missed opportunities.
Yeah, just like bam. Yeah. So after having this, like, I try to get everybody that, like, just everyone with a story. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm not famous, and but like just a story, right? That's it. We just want a good story. Yeah.
I mean, not everybody that Rogan has on either is a big name person.
Exactly.
But, that also opens up doors for them, and I mean, that's how he came to be who he is, right?
Yeah,
so yeah.
And Rogan is I love Rogan. I love because it's a restaurant. We were thinking, should we do tacos, or I want to do something spicy, and tacos kind of get crazy and messy with all the gear. And I thought, well, wings would be great.
Wings don't.
But I mean, Hot Ones is another show that I really like, and I just thought if I can kind of do something similar to those, are two of my favorite channels, but we can do it with my spin on it with like live in my restaurant. Customers are walking around, and it's just So I figured that's how we'd go. Yeah,
fantastic idea.
So this is here. This is episode 161.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks, bro. Thank you for coming. 161 weeks in a row,
really?
Which is kind of crazy. Yeah, but it's cool now because in the beginning, nobody really cared, but now it's kind of like, hey, it's actually something. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. It's pretty cool, brother.
Good stuff.
But speaking of Taiwan and speaking of coming to Taiwan, obviously the first question is going to be the inevitable question. And the funny thing is that's what everybody wants to know. They're like, well, the original reason, like, what the hell are we doing in Taiwan?
Everyone wants to know.
That's the question I always get. Always.
Everyone wants to know.
I get it probably daily in the restaurant. Yeah, and I say the same thing over and over. So let's get that one out of the way, and then let's get.
Well, you got to do yours too, because I don't know yours.
Well, you go first.
I'll go first.
All right. Well, what brought you
here? Mine's pretty simple. I came here right out of college. I was. At that, we were discussing politics earlier and how you're not interested.
I just don't know anything about it.
And I'm no longer interested, but I actually came here to study language, and I was planning on maybe the 2 to 5 year plan, maybe.
Gotcha.
And then go back to the States and probably pursue a PhD, politically, related to the politics field, military matters, those sorts of things. Dealing with China and whatnot, and I don't know how much I'm supposed to say. The CIA might be watching.
Do whatever you want to do. Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically the story. And the 2 to 5 year plan became the 10-year plan, and had a kid, and now it's the maybe forever plan. I don't know. I've been here for over 17 years.
Yeah. Okay.
And no real plans to go back. So the long and short of it is language study.
Okay. Language study, obviously Mandarin. But how do you feel about being here for so long? I mean, what's kind of keeping you here?
What's keeping me here? Ooh, that's a great question.
That's a good one. No,
Yeah.
all right.
I wasn't even prepared for that one. Wow.
Okay. Well, strong. Let's go.
Well, I think I see a lot of potential in a lot of places, potential for growth, especially in the field that I'm currently pursuing.
Beautiful.
So from a business aspect, I think I'll just cut to the chase. If you know me, and we're going to talk about this later on, I'm sure, but I'm a competitive strongman, and I'm a coach, strength and conditioning coach. And my goal has always been, I would say for the past 10 years, maybe 8 to 10 years, has kind of been not necessarily to promote myself as an athlete per se, but as to find the beasts on this island and the ones that want to go. We talked about this before, the ones who are OCD, the ones who are obsessed, and the ones who have the potential and the ability, and take them overseas and compete internationally. And if I can be the coach of Taiwan's first internationally competitive strongman, strong woman, strong person, strong people, whatever, I'm happy to do that. So that's my goal right now.
Cayenne. Sorry. Yeah.
No worries.
Okay.
No worries. Yeah.
No, I think it's cool, and I didn't. I mean, I don't want to sound rude, but I didn't know that there was a whole strongman thing happening here until I had Tony on, and then I looked into it a little bit, and Tony introduced me to you, and that's amazing because I think that Taiwan's a great place, and I feel like it's kind of like the West, but like maybe 20 years ago, like opening a restaurant like this, I started in a stand, and then small, and then medium, and then large restaurant. In the West, forget it. I mean, if I was in Vancouver, just no way I had this. Just forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to a strength and conditioning coach in the States or in Canada or wherever, they wouldn't come to me probably. But here, I think, like I said, there's so much potential. And I think you hit something on the head when you said 10 to 20 years, maybe kind of, I wouldn't say behind, that sounds a little bit negative, but definitely it's a little bit, when it comes to the field that I'm in, it's a little bit behind in that sense as well.
Okay.
But I think in that sense, it's also kind of on the cusp of something that could be fantastic in the future.
Beautiful.
And, I think, with the recent competition in August that just happened, I think, there is an underlying, originally a few years ago, we'll get into this I'm sure later on, but originally a few years ago when I had the idea of having like a similar sort of performance, if you will, maybe not necessarily a competition, but kind of a place for people to kind of perform and kind of show off and build some interest in the sport of strongman. I always had that kind of undercurrent of, this will never take place, this will never happen, this will never take root in Taiwan, gyms are still too new, and people are more interested in this and more interested in that, and it's like, no, I mean, if you talk to the people I talk to and the people that I deal with on a daily basis, not only students, but, potential customers, people that I meet in the gym, people who follow me on Instagram, people who are involved in the know, that there is a very strong undercurrent here for similar things. Maybe it hasn't quite broken into the populace the way that, say, Strongman has in the UK, where they wait for, World's Strongest Man happens usually in like spring or summer. They wait till Christmas Day for it to be televised, and they watch that on Christmas Day.
Really?
In the UK. I mean, that's...
Wow, I didn't know that.
From my understanding, I mean...
That's pretty cool.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's like the Super Bowl, yeah?
Well, I mean, it used to be anyway. I mean, I remember, watching Eddie Hall, if you know who Eddie Hall is, watching his YouTube channel, his channel, and they're like, he remembered waiting until Christmas Day for World's Strongest Man because he was like, I'm going to be that guy someday, And I don't know if it's that way now, but I mean, I think there's a possibility that it could, over time in Taiwan, also become something that people anticipate and look forward to, and that's great.
I think it's great. I mean, I came here actually as a soccer coach. I was coaching soccer. Of course, I did the kindergarten and all the teaching and stuff like that. But I also thought when I was coaching 20 years ago that it was, again, not behind, but like there's opportunity there. Whereas if I was coaching,
always on the edge, right? Just like you could just take that one more leap. Yeah.
I mean, everything. I mean, for example, when I do the restaurant, I mean, I could not do something like this in like Vancouver or Seattle or wherever, right? It's tough.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's a good place to be, and I think bringing sort of the knowledge we have from the West to here is awesome.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, here they
wings
are.
Here. All right.
Very nice.
Looks like we're starting.
Which one
from
do I
that
have
side.
to be aware of?
We're gonna go from here to there.
Okay.
So we'll take our time on that.
All right. Yeah,
Boom.
and you mentioned
Yeah.
that Tony introduced me to you. Tony also introduced you to me. So
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man.
good
Yeah.
stuff. And thanks, Tony.
Thank you to Tony. What's up, brother?
Yeah, all right.
So let's start. Well, the food's here, so let's get the first one down the hatch, right?
Yeah,
so the first one is just the basic buffalo.
Okay.
Right? It's a pretty popular one.
All right, well, I'll just
They
grab
all
the
do
one on
have
top, I
spice,
suppose.
but they're not. Yeah,
It's
you,
the first thing I've eaten all day.
well, you can take the drums, man. All the drums are that's where the
Sure?
meat's at, right?
Okay.
Yeah, of course, bro. They do this all the time.
I usually fast on days I don't train, so today's a non-training day.
While you dig into that, tell me about the fasting, intermittent fasting, 1 meal a day. Is it just calories in, calories out?
It
I
is.
mean, yeah. I mean, let me know what you think about that because.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, for those of you who've seen Tony's podcast, I agree with almost everything
Okay.
he says. It is calories in, calories out. It is.
Okay.
It's simple but not easy. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
The reason why I fast is because I've now probably at least 3 times in my life both gained weight and lost weight on purpose, and I know how my body responds to calories coming in.
Okay.
And on days where I don't train, I usually don't. I usually fast until the evening. Reason being that is if I eat something in the morning, or if I eat something early in the day, I'm usually starving by the afternoon. I'll get twitchy, shaky.
You start up the metabolism. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
or-
I think
okay.
I think so. I mean, the science behind that, I've read several things, but I think for me anyway, if I don't eat something in the morning, if I fast during the day, I'm good and no problem. I almost never feel hungry. So
What about something like a 3, 4, 5, 10-day cleanse, where it's just like water or like a lemon juice
I'm
sort of
probably
deal?
going to catch hell for saying this, but there's really no conclusive scientific evidence to back that up from anything
Okay.
that I've read or researched.
No, it's cool. Yeah. I'm just that's why I take the chance to ask someone like you, someone like Tony,
And
because I watch stuff and I don't know
Oh, yeah.
what works and what doesn't work. I know what works for me, but
Well, that's just it. I mean, I think that what happens is, as I explain to students and I explain to clients and I explain to other people, that coaching itself is to some extent obviously a science.
Yeah.
But there's also like I guess you could say an art to it. And I don't mean like painting a picture art. What I mean is, when we're reading a book to prepare for, a test, or when we're reading, this or that to prepare for a licensure exam or something like this, or a certification, the book can only go by science, basically. It can only go by, the vast majority of people do it this way, roughly speaking, and that's what the large number of test cases show us.
Okay.
But when it comes to the individual, maybe if I were to use an example from my own experience.
sure.
Basically, people squat in this manner. If you're going to do a barbell squat, basically it is in this manner. Maybe it's a low bar, maybe it's a high bar. I don't want to get too esoteric, but people basically squat in this manner. But, if your femurs are longer or shorter, right, that's an individual thing. That's the art of coaching. That's the art aspect of it, which, some people think, coaching, you don't need a coach. Some people think, yeah, coaching is absolutely necessary. And you've got to be able to find those people, those professionals who can pull those little things out of your anatomy or your physique or your own training or whatever and tweak it to fit you. That makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
And so applied to diet also, I mean, there's like for me, I don't think I have ever once in my life ever prescribed for any client to do fasting.
okay.
Reason being is because, do I believe in it? I mean, I personally think that it works for me, and I know enough about how I cut weight and how I gain weight and how I train and what works for me on the next. Like tonight, I'll go home, I'll have a very high carb meal. Also, part of that is wanting to save those calories for later on at night when I do what's called carb loading, and that's just to make sure that there's glycogen in my muscles and my insulin levels are not. I don't want to get too crazy about it, but
No, I actually love this stuff.
I mean,
yeah.
we're going to probably have pictures of my family. My family's a little bit all over, like they're all overweight. There's diabetes in both sides, my mother's side and my father's side, and I want to be able to control my insulin levels and all these sorts of things. And if I can just have that one high-calorie meal right before I train, and make sure that my muscles are full of glycogen for the next training session, that's the whole point behind it.
So
And it
what-
works for me. It works for me.
So what's your opinion then? Because I love this stuff, and I kind of deep dive into this, like something like keto, where it's like a low carb or almost like a no carb. I know vegetables and all that has a little bit of carbs, but I mean when I'm talking about carbs, I mean like simple things
Yeah, I know.
like rice, like white rice and white bread. So tell me about
Again,
that.
I mean, there's no calories in, calories out.
Okay.
Basically, is the meat and potatoes of it.
Okay.
No pun
So you don't
intended.
have to cut out your carbs.
let me put it to you this way.
Sure.
The average person who's working a 9 to 5 in an office does not need as many carbohydrates as they consume on a regular basis. Your body doesn't need that much energy. So what does it do? It stores it in fat. And basically, carbs are just sugar.
Yeah.
They're just sugar.
They convert into sugar,
they
right?
Don't need that. I mean, basically, that's what they are, right? And you don't really need that. Your body needs more protein for, I mean, the building blocks of cells is basically protein.
Sure.
Right? Your body needs more protein than that. Now, from not needing that many carbs to eating no carbs for the average person, that's a big jump. I'm not willing to make that jump. And there's no science that tells me that I have to make that jump. But you definitely do not need, if you're, again, you don't need, toast in the morning, and you don't need rice in the afternoon and rice in the evening, and you don't need that if you're doing a 9 to 5. Now, for the athlete, for the person who trains, obviously you're going to need more fuel, and then it becomes a little bit different. But again, everybody's body is different. Slightly different. Some people just need more calories. Some people just naturally have a higher metabolism.
So I had, I don't know if you watch MMA, but I had a pro fighter here.
Yep,
MMA. Big, so there's a sort of a local circuit, and one of the guys who did ONE FC and stuff is Jeff the Machine Huang. I had him on a while back, but he was talking about going through. He went to like AKA and stuff, got to train with like Luke Rockhold and stuff. Like, it was pretty cool. And he was training, and there was one day where he was just like super groggy, and the coach was like, what's going on? And he said that he wanted to drop some weight, so he went like 0 carb. Right?
Yeah.
And so he was like training on ketosis, and he said he was really, really groggy and stuff. And the coach said, go home and come back tomorrow, but eat carbs, because like the explosiveness needs. This is what he said. The explosiveness needs
your muscles
carbs.
need glycogen. They need glycogen, and you're not going to be as explosive if your muscles are thirsting for glycogen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So true.
Again, for the athlete, again, I would never ever say that carbs are bad, and I would never, for some, again, everybody's body's a little bit different. When it comes to coaching, like I said, part of it is a big part of it. If you're an honest and upright coach, should be science based. But there's also that little art aspect that, every student is slightly different, whether it's a female versus male, whether it's a taller versus shorter, whether it's, a power lifter versus a CrossFitter. Like everything is also tailored to the particular athlete.
The 3 body types, right? I think. I mean, or is that just old school science?
Like
when I grew up, that's what that was.
Let's put it that way. Nobody really fits into that, but they're ideals. It's kind of like, in order to explain why someone, let's say, like I know people who do, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or people who do MMA, or people who, do cycling, those sorts of things, boxing, who have just naturally faster metabolisms than,
for sure,
other people. And are they ectomorphs? Like, maybe not. Like, where would you fit me on that spectrum? It's more of a spectrum. It's more of like an ideal within a spectrum. If that makes sense. And there are people who have naturally slower metabolisms.
Gotcha.
But there are ways of tweaking that, right? The more muscle mass you have on your frame, the faster your metabolism is. Obviously, the more activity, the larger you are, the more caloric, the more
calories you need.
Yeah, the more calories you need. Yeah,
so that makes sense.
Activity levels and whatnot.
So you're mentioning coaching. If anybody here is interested in coaching in the Kaohsiung area, in the description below, you will find all the info to hire this man. And what they say in sort of the industry is, he's probably your coach's coach. Because if your coach had a coach, it probably is this guy right here.
Most of my students, clients right now actually are coaches themselves. So,
beautiful.
I'm a strength and conditioning coach, but I mean, I have clients from all different ends of the spectrum. Just women wanting to lose weight to women who've just had children. Is that at a different end of the spectrum? I'm not sure exactly, but to people who are I have students who are boxers. I have students who are competitive strongmen, competitive powerlifters. To people who just want to add muscle. I've also coached classic physique athletes and those sorts of things. So it's not just because I do strongman. That's the only thing that I do. That sort of thing.
I just quickly want to separate, like, make distinct, like, the strongman and the powerlifting, right? Mm-hmm. So these are 2 different things, obviously, right? Yeah. Are they related at all, or, I mean? The strongman's a competition. I mean, I don't know. Like,
I'm going to quote Eddie Hall here, and I'm going to say, you squat, bench, and deadlift also? Those are my accessories.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little jab at the powerlifting people. No, I would say that, they're, to some extent, they are closely related in that obviously you need to be strong, you need to be powerful. And we train a lot of similar movements, at least in the static movements. So for those of you who don't know, powerlifting is essentially 3 main movements. in a competition, a set competition, squat, bench, and deadlift. And in a competition, you have basically 3 attempts to get your highest total possible. And at the end of the competition, your highest total added together, that's your total. The person with the highest total takes first place.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So they're all static lifts, and they're all just basically 1 repetition.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, like max rep type thing.
Max weight for a single.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And strongman is quite a bit different in the sense that there are static and dynamic movements. So, I mean, yes, there is a deadlift event, there is a pressing event, but we don't have a bench press. Very, very rarely is there a chest press.
Okay.
In strongman, typically it's some sort of overhead movement. Sometimes even 2 in the same competition.
Okay.
And there is a deadlift, but it's not your standard Ivanko or Eleiko or Rogue plates. It could be lifting a car, or it could be a deadlift hold, or basically you're holding a trap bar.
Okay.
Just holding it for as long as you possibly can. It could be for heaviest single, max. It could be for most reps in 60 seconds at a particular weight. Squat, there is a squat event, but again, typically, because again, there's it's up to the organizers and the promoters to kind of decide what events they want.
Yep.
But typically with a squat, it's also for reps.
Okay.
In 60 seconds. And usually the overhead event is it's a log, or it's a dumbbell, or an axle, something similar to that. And we can get into dynamic movements, but we probably would be here for a month of my training to name them all.
All right, that's cool. No. I just
carrying heavy, weird, awkward shit, basically. Picking it up, running with it.
Well, Tony was saying that like a sandbag that's 100 kilos or whatever is just it's so hard to get off the ground. Yeah, because it's like a.
Compared to 100 kilos on a barbell?
It's just like a limp. It's just limp there, and it's a cool thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think also a barbell is basically. I know that a lot of people probably would think, well, lifting a barbell is heavy, but a barbell is supposed to be basically the most efficient way of being able to lift that amount of weight. It's kind of there for you. There for you. It's shaped that way. It has that diameter to make it as easy as possible for you to lift that. Whereas when it comes to strongman, we do awkward shit. We carry awkward stuff. We pick up awkward stuff. So
it's functional.
Everything to a certain degree is functional, but
okay.
It'd be more related to what you would do in your daily life. Do you pick up a sandbag every day? No, but do you pick up a box full of stuff? Yeah. It's different from a barbell.
Okay.
Right? 100 kilos or 50 kilos in a box is going to feel different from 50 kilos in a barbell just because of centers of gravity and leverages, right? And that's what makes a sandbag so hard. It kind of comes to life as you pick it up. It isn't just a solid block of whatever.
Yeah.
It's actually moving as you pick it up. And the center of gravity on a barbell is that big, where a sandbag may be that big. And I'm talking about the diameter, right? Mm-hmm. That's a harder thing to pick up.
Yep.
So...
What about, we'll grab the next one, but what about CrossFit? What's the opinion on CrossFit? Yay or nay? I mean, either way's fine. I mean, I have friends with CrossFit gyms. I have friends that are super pro CrossFit. I know people that are anti-CrossFit. I mean, we were talking about Rogan, big Rogan fan. He was talking about GSP's trainer, Faraz Zahabi, right? Uh-huh. He was saying that you should never go 100%, to failure. You should go to 60 or 70, and you could do it every day. Never go to 100. So I don't know. What's your opinion?
My opinion on CrossFit. It kind of depends on what you mean by that. You mean competitive CrossFit?
Yeah, I mean let's just say people are going. The average Joe is going to World Gym, hiring a trainer, or whatever. The average Joe goes to a CrossFit gym and does the whole CrossFit routine thing.
I mean, CrossFit as a sport is completely legitimate. I mean, there's no reason to say that it wouldn't be. That said, it is the average person who sits at an office 9 to 5 every day, and then get up and go and do a bunch of burpees and a bunch of power cleans and a bunch of kipping pull-ups. Is that going to benefit them? I mean, again, for me, it kind of all comes down. It kind of all comes down to your goal, right? Okay. What is your goal? Is CrossFit the best way to, let's say, lose weight?
Okay.
I mean, it's better than doing nothing.
Sure,
right?
Of course, yeah.
Like they say, a bad gym session is better than no gym session at all.
Okay. Yes.
I sometimes question some of the qualifications. I'm going to catch flack for this, but I question some of the qualifications of some CrossFit coaches, let's say. The reason why I say this is not because I'm taking a jab at CrossFit. It's because I have students who come to me and they're like, well, I need to learn how to front squat. I need to learn how to do a power clean. I need to know how to do a snatch. I'm like, well, okay. I mean, I can teach you that. And then it comes out that they're doing
and you're
CrossFit.
Like, why? Okay.
And I'm like, well, your CrossFit coach doesn't teach you this? It's like, no, they write the WOD on the board and then they just scream at you, basically. And that's not every CrossFit coach, and I'm not saying that it's not legitimate, but I have some questions about what actually goes on in CrossFit gyms if you're a novice and you go for a CrossFit training session and you can't do a snatch, and your coach either can't take the time or doesn't know how to coach you to do a snatch properly.
Gotcha.
That would be my biggest quibble that I've had. And I've had more than one person. I've had probably more like 5 or 6 people. And I've kind of slowly pulled them over to the dark side when it comes to strength training with strongman.
That would cause injuries, right? If you were doing like some heavy duty squats or like squats to failure with really bad form. I would guess,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I mean, typically when people get injured from doing just, regular basic movements in training,
Dips.
It's not.
That was me. That was me. Yeah, that was just me being an idiot. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how it goes. It's you go.
Won't happen again.
Typically, if your coach is programming something, he's programming it that way for a reason, and you should follow the program. Otherwise, why that kind of a thing. But if your coach can't really show you how to do the movement properly, and he's telling you should do this, and he does that,
gotcha,
and you do that, and you aren't doing it properly, he can't tell you how to do it properly. Then my question is, well, what's this coach giving you? Right?
Understandable. So this is a pomegranate hot sauce from Empress Hot Sauces. Okay. So we're just doing kind of a little bit of a flight here.
Buffalo was fantastic, by the way.
Buffalo's good, thanks. Yeah, that's one of our more popular ones. So I want to ask you quickly about the squat. So squats, this is just for my personal selfishness. Sure. All the way, like ass to the grass squats, or like, how low should you go in a squat? Does it depend if you're tall, if you're short? Like, what does that depend on?
Yes.
Does it vary?
Yes.
Okay.
You should squat.
I'll take it.
You should squat.
Squat. Okay.
Now, why do I say this? Well, again, anyone who tells you there's a 100% perfect way of doing something right off the bat is an ideologue. And I say this because there's really no reason why you need to squat all the way to the point where your butt cheeks touch the grass. There's no real greater activation. Basically, once your hip crease goes past your knee, there's no real greater activation beyond that. Basically, it's a range of motion issue.
No benefit.
Very, very minimal.
Okay.
I mean, I can't give you an exact percentage, but I've not seen anything that shows me that you must squat Tom Platt's ass to grass every single repetition.
That's an answer.
Not only that, that's by way of answer. It also depends on your goals.
Okay.
For example, I have students who are basketball players, right? They don't need to squat that far down.
Okay.
Right? I mean, they're trying to build power. They're trying to build, let's say, muscular endurance. They're trying to build jumping power. Vertical. Yeah, they're vertical or whatever they're trying to improve. There's no real reason for them to be able to squat all that deeply. Now, do I have them squat deeply? Sometimes.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's a necessity of training within all ranges of movements for all athletes.
Okay.
Excuse me.
No problem.
But as far as what I typically do with them, it's more of jumping with weights. It's more of box squats. It's more front squats, those sorts of things. And how deep they go kind of depends on what did we do last time.
Okay.
What was the benefit from that? Are you seeing benefits from this over the past month when it comes to your basketball practice, let's say, or your boxing, right? So again, I think, like I said, coaching is mostly a science, but it's also an art. And I think, again, that's part of the art. I mean, if I were to take, say, a tennis player and have them do powerlifting, right, doesn't really make much sense, right? It's the same kind of thing. So
I think no matter how...
It's not cut and dry. There's a lot... I mean, I would say everything in life is not 100% cut and dry, right?
Like for example, when I was in college, I did a little cert on personal training, so I know the form and all that. And when I go to the gym, I don't want to say I'm awesome, but I know what I'm doing, like form-wise and stuff. But after getting Tony's, a program from Tony, it was great because it's like, do this, rest 60 seconds, do this. It's great, as opposed to, okay, I'm doing chest today, so let me see. Oh, there's a lineup for the bench, dumbbell press. Okay, well, what did I do last week? And blah, blah, blah. Exactly, that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to skip abs. That's basically what happens, right? Or skip calves. You know what I mean? And it's just, So it's like, it's great to be like, to have a coach. I think in anything, even with this restaurant, we've gone through and hired people to help us sort of systemize the restaurant, and we're still working on that. We do want to franchise. We want to do a lot of things, and I find that when you have someone on the outside that's kind of like watching everything, it helps you so 100%. Much in any business, 100%. Any business. Like for even with this
business, man, not even in business, in anything.
In life, in anything in life. Business. For example, Over the last few months, I've interviewed some really big YouTubers, foreign YouTubers in Taiwan. And when I talked to them, we were talking about the OCD. They're super obsessed with YouTube. And we talk about things, and they're like thumbnails, headlines, and then I start to learn more, and it's great. And, you know, when I have a question, I'll be like, what do you think of this headline? And they'll be like, you know, yes or no. They're like, no. It's not clickbaity enough. It's not going to get enough views. It's fantastic. So when you have somebody that you can talk to that's kind of ahead, it's great. It's amazing. I love it. Hiring a coach in almost anything you want to become better at, like more proficient in something. If you have a coach or if you have some kind of a mentor, oh God, it's crazy. It's
and I think as a coach too, for anybody who might be watching this who's thinking about getting into coaching or whatever, or who is a coach or who is looking for a coach, I think the most obviously beyond credentials and obviously just knowing what the hell he or she is doing. Sure. The second thing would be honesty and directness. I don't think that you solve any problems by, oh no, that's okay. Like there needs to be an honest communication path between you and your coach all the time. It's like if that was RP, I don't want to get too.
Do it. Let's go.
But if it's RPE 9.5, okay, and you're like, no, it's 7, and your coach is like, okay, add 10 more kilos, and then you die, right? Like, first of all, the coach should be able to. RPE is your own kind of feeling of how something goes, but a coach should be able, with his trained eye or her trained eye, to see basically what RPE that is. And then secondly, when he says or she says, no, don't go heavier, you need to listen. There's a reason for that, right? Especially if you're preparing for a competition or you're preparing for something in particular. If you're like I use this example of boxing because I have several students who are boxers. Beautiful. You know, if you're crushing them before their next boxing match or their next sparring session, they have a shit sparring session. Well, how is that going to help them in the long run, right? Like they're not there to squat the world. They're there to get better for their sport. You
want to kind of have them peak at at the right time.
And that's right. That's the whole point for programming, especially. At least for competitive athletes. Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Yeah. I love it. How's the pomegranate? Did you try it?
Pomegranate.
How is it? Yeah.
Then
no, it's good. It's good. This is what this is all about, brother. I mean, like I said, these conversations are probably my favorite part of this restaurant, isn't it? Yeah. These guys, these are Empress hot sauces. Nice. They got some pretty cool hot sauces. Unique, sort of like the Willy Wonka of hot sauces.
Nice.
And they got some really cool passion fruit mustard, like crazy stuff, but delicious.
As I told Tony, I fear the Reaper.
The Reaper. That's right. Yeah, brother. So beautiful. So you came to learn Chinese, right? Yeah. Mandarin. We always say Chinese here, but overseas, you say Mandarin or whatever, right? Yeah. So how important do you think it is in Taiwan for a foreigner to speak Mandarin?
I think my honest opinion.
Yeah, of course. That's what we're here for.
I think that the typical local, and it's not a criticism of the locals at all.
Sure.
I understand exactly why it is. To automatically assume that they need to speak English in order to communicate with you is a knock on us. It's a knock on us. Okay. I think yes, there are things that I don't know how to say properly. I don't know how to write properly. I don't know how to read properly. But I think it's necessary that you make some form of an effort. And even when it comes, like my Taiwanese is terrible. I live in the South, and my Taiwanese is terrible. And the minute that I speak Mandarin to somebody, the next question is,
"You speak Taiwanese?"
Do you speak Taiwanese? Yeah. And I'm like, well, I can understand some, but my Taiwanese. For me, it's like if you don't grow up with it, it's really hard to pick up a lot of the subtleties.
I tried to learn it here in Taipei, but you don't hear it here as much, and it's not as if there's classes, because I guess it's not really a written language. It's kind of like a soundy language.
That's where I'm stuck.
It's tough. Yeah,
I'm much more of even though like the tone, intonations and things like this, I kind of pick up from listening, and I do study or learn from other people how the locals speak it and whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm much more of a visual learner than an audio learner, and that's where I get stuck with Taiwanese. Like I have to write it down, and it's like, how do you make that sound so I can remember it?
Do you speak? So you obviously speak Mandarin and English, right? You have another language, like Spanish or French or an Italian.
I've studied. Long ago Spanish, German, a little bit of French, and also I took a year of Latin when I was in college.
Oh, wow.
Does that count?
Yeah, for sure. No, just curious because when I came here,
and a little bit of Japanese, but
oh wow.
Nice. As being here though, like all of that is just gone. Every time I ever want to say anything in Japanese, it always becomes Mandarin. Like it's just
the funny thing about that is, like my family's Mexican, so I grew up speaking Spanish. And when I came here, people would be like, "Oh, you have English and Spanish, so you have two, so that learning Mandarin is going to be easy." Yeah, they don't help at all.
No,
not at all. They're very different.
Nope.
They do not help at all.
Nope.
And so I learned Mandarin, and again, I can't read or write, but I tried to learn Taiwanese, just not exposed to it enough. And like you said, my Spanish, even though it was probably, I don't know if it might be my first language because my mom couldn't speak English when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
So it might be. But I've been here now for 20 years, and it's like when I'm speaking Spanish with people, there'll be like a brain fart, and there's like a blank in a sentence, and then my brain, yeah, exactly. My brain will fill it in. My brain will fill it in with Mandarin, with Chinese. Totally.
All the time. And I think it's a good problem to have, to be honest. Yeah. It gets a little bit stressful sometimes, actually, when I'm speaking in English, just because it's like I'll have one of those situations where
brain fart or something.
Like this word that I want to have, that I want to find, that's no longer in my vocabulary.
Yeah,
but I
tough.
know the Chinese for it. It's just so weird.
That happens a lot, right?
It's like typical everyday things. It's either something that's very like typical everyday things,
yeah,
or it's something that's really, really, really formal, or tailored to a particular field.
Okay.
That like I had to memorize for some reason a long time ago, to the point where I forgot the English for it.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, the way I learned my Mandarin was just kind of mimicking, I don't want to say mocking, but similar. Like when somebody says something, if you say it exactly the way they said it, almost like a mock. People are like, oh my gosh, your Chinese is so good. And I'm like, well, I was just kind of making fun of that guy, but I'll take it. And then that becomes like, that's how you talk. Mm-hmm. This is how you say this. This is how you say that. So yeah, I don't memorize tones or anything.
That's how kids learn.
Yeah, that's how I learned. I mean, my brain is probably like a kid's brain, but
well,
yeah.
no, I mean, I think that it kind of. I mean, that if you want me to be completely honest, I made my best gains, bruh, when it came to learning Mandarin. From just humbling myself to the point of being a child. Okay. Like going and learning, the zuyin, the bapa mafa.
That helps so much. That helped me too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I know that a lot of people are. I mean, it got to the point where I don't even really recognize the pinyin anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it's like I look at it, I know that's a P and it's supposed to be pub, but it's like there are several different like what they write is like U sounds, right? And it's like which one is it? And they have that little omicron over the top or whatever, and it's just bapa mummy, bro, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's funny because I learned that too way back. They were teaching sort of if you went to take a Chinese course, they would teach way back. They would teach you bapa mafa. Now I think it's just pinyin, but I think the bapa mafa helps a lot. The juing fu hao, yeah.
A lot of people are kind of shocked to say this. It wasn't actually that hard for me, but I actually learned bapa mafa. I was self-taught. My girlfriend at the time when I first got here, it's kind of a long story. Originally I was in Gangsan. My first job was in Gangsan. Okay. And I was there for 2 years, and there was some conflict between myself and the boss about, not conflict, but just kind of a disagreement. Like, I wanted to learn the language, and she was kind of dead set against it because she was afraid that I was going to use it with the kids in class instead of using English.
Okay.
So it was like one of those things.
It's a weird thing that they think. Yeah, that happens here. Well, it used to.
I mean, but it's not as though the local teachers don't, right? Like
it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Where it's like no English, no Chinese in the school at all, unless you're not with the foreign teacher. Then it's
don't make it. No Chinese.
Yeah,
and then
they
come in and they scream at the kid. No Chinese.
Yeah, and then it's night market downstairs, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, but I actually taught myself bapa mafa just from reading little kids' books, like with the characters, and then like the little, you know what I mean, like the elementary school.
Yeah, those are great.
Books,
I mean, you've got a boy in elementary, right?
Yeah.
I have a girl in elementary, and when we went through that also kind of was a refresher for me, and then now she's just way ahead. Now I'm lost. So
well, yeah, my girlfriend's. My girlfriend's daughter is also now in first grade, and she's going through the whole like struggle of learning bapa mafa, and it was really weird. There was a night, about a month ago, where I was there, and she was having her little tantrum about not being able to remember this one and that one and whatever. Yeah. And I was sitting there helping her, and my girlfriend's brother was there, and he's like, "This is so weird having a foreigner teach your daughter."
That's funny. That's so funny.
It wasn't like I was doing it on purpose. It was just like she was freaking out. It was like, well, I have an education background as well, so it's like, let me try something different, right?
Yeah. I agree. I help my daughter. Now I can't. With the Chinese now in grade 5, forget about it. But yeah, before we would do a lot together. And of course, the English is no problem. Yeah. I mean, grade 5 English, they're teaching her, how to spell pants. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, she's, reading Harry Potter. So it's like, so the English is good, it's like, but she, because it's so easy, she doesn't like get 100% on the tests because she's just like, done. Yeah. So, and she always tells me the Taiwanese English teacher's mistakes. And she's like, Dad, should I say something? I'm like, no, don't say anything.
Definitely
I'm like, just sit there. Don't say anything. Mm-hmm. Don't tell your friends. If you want to tell someone, you can tell me. That's it. Don't tell anybody else. So it's funny. Let's pull up a picture, man.
Okay.
We got one right here. Boom, boom, boom. Sorry that one screen is out. I don't know what happened to it.
All right, I can also see it.
Oh, you can see it back there.
well,
Perfect.
yeah.
Okay. So what's happening here?
I have to give a little bit of a disclaimer here before we go. I get emotional when I talk about my old man.
Okay.
So I might shed a tear, get a little bit choked
Hey,
up.
brother. It's all good. It's all good.
It's very hard for me sometimes to relate to some people. I guess here, a lot of the locals, a lot of them feel very, very close to their mothers.
Okay.
Kind of distant from their fathers. I don't know if you've recognized that as
Definitely.
well. If any of you have.
Definitely. I think because
Fathers are a
the
little bit
dad will
distant.
work, or the
Yeah.
dad will work in China, or the dad kind of does long hours. Yeah. 100%. 100%. So tell me about your dad. I miss my dad.
I was the complete opposite. My mother died when I was 7.
Okay. Did not know that.
It's kind of a long story.
Well,
They
care to
had-
share. We're here.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not sensitive about it, really. It's just
Okay.
one of those things where they were having marital problems.
Gotcha.
The story goes, at least, I only heard one side of it.
Of
So,
course.
But, whether there was some cheating involved or whatever on her
Yeah.
part.
Okay.
She ended up committing suicide.
Okay.
They were going through a divorce. And my dad was kind of always my rock. And from a very young age, he was originally, when I was younger, he was kind of distant just because he was working 2 jobs. My mother also worked as well. But when he was home on the weekends, I would be on his lap. And that's me, the little one, not the big
It's a
one.
good picture.
The little one.
I
Probably.
love the handlebar
I would say-
mustache. Yeah, I love it.
That was his thing. That was
yeah.
his thing.
Yeah.
That was his thing. And I was probably about maybe a little bit less than a year old here. And if I want to remember my old man, that's it.
That's the picture, right?
That's the
All right.
picture.
All right. Right on, brother.
On his knee.
Yeah.
And he always used to tell me that it didn't matter how old I was, I could always sit on his lap. Well, I don't think that would work today. First of all, my dad passed away when I was 20. He died of cancer.
Ouch. Okay. Okay.
But that's one of the reasons why I get so emotional.
Of
with it.
course.
But,
That makes sense now. Okay. I got you, brother.
I think that's how I want to remember him. Just like that. Maybe not how I want
Good
to
guy.
remember me. I hope I have that relationship with my son.
Well, I think so. I have both of my parents, but my dad was a little bit more distant. So I'm really close with my mom. They both worked, but my dad was kind of like family guy, but kind of like wants to go out, smoke weed and hang out with his buddies, So yeah, my parents definitely are not together anymore. But I miss them both a lot. But definitely, it's tough. When I go back, I love it because I know people that don't have their parents anymore, and so when I go back, and I probably go back like twice a decade, man. It's kind of sucks. I need to make some more money so I can go more often. But yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one,
Well,
brother.
in that sense too, my dad was also kind of I would say, even though I get really emotional, I was always very close to my dad.
Okay.
That doesn't mean he was not a disciplinarian. He was
Okay.
very hard on me when I was a young kid, and I think, I'm not one of those people who resent that about him. I think that's probably one of the best things that ever happened in my life was to have that. He could be tender when he needed to be, but he could also be a hard ass when he needed to be, and that's necessary, I think. And
Well, he was doing the job of 2 people, right?
he was
He
for
had to.
part of
Yeah,
the time, until he remarried. And
Okay.
and I think, after my mom died, I think he realized that. But not only that, but after he got sick, and he started to realize he had a form of bone cancer called multiple myeloma. It's in the blood and the bone marrow. He wasn't
Okay.
able to lift. One of the reasons why I started in the gym actually was because he was not allowed to lift anything over 20 pounds, which is like 9 kilograms. They were
Okay.
afraid that it was going to
Okay.
affect his back, and he was going to have
shoot.
bone problems or whatever. So it was like, well, now all that stuff is up to me now, and here I am at like the age of 12 having to lift this heavy shit, right?
Gotcha.
One of the reasons why I got into the gym was because of that. And I think
Okay.
he old school
That's a
family,
great
old
reason.
school Minnesota Catholic family, right? It's like if you're old enough to drink, old enough to work like a man, you're old enough to drink like a man. If you're old enough to drink like a man, you're old enough to cuss like a man. And it was like that's how you build respect.
Yeah,
And
well,
I
that's-
think
that's
by the time I was 14, 15, he respected me like I was 25. That's the way he treated me. I did wrong, he told me. He did wrong, I told him, and that's just how it worked.
I love it. I love it, man.
And it worked great until he died. So
Shout out to the dads, man. Love it, bro.
The good ones, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that, brother.
Yeah.
Let's get a different one up there.
Oh God, what's the next one?
Bam.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, this is me, my
That's you.
senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Played American football in a small town called Foley, Minnesota, which is near St. Cloud, which is in the middle of nowhere. It's right in smack dab in the middle of Minnesota.
Big football town, or
More of a wrestling town actually, until in 2000. Was it 2000? No, 1998. Our football team just magically, mystically won the state championship.
Really?
And yeah, they came the year before that, 1997. We were 0-8, did not win a single game.
Okay.
Didn't even make the playoffs.
Sounds like one of those movies, those American underdog movies, man.
It was
I
like,
love it.
yeah.
Okay.
And then the next year, I think we finished 13-2, 14-2, and won the state tournament in our class,
Amazing.
in our section, our class. So there's that. I was a sophomore that year. I did play a bit, but I was injured. I had a bum ankle. And then my senior year, this is our last year, my last year. We took fourth. We took fourth in state.
Is it the natural hair, or you frosting the tips, or what's up?
Yeah, no, it was frosted.
that was the thing. That was the style. I know. That's why I asked. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro. We'll
That
do
was-
one more. We'll grab the next swing.
Sure.
Yeah. Let me get one more kid one here. Bam.
Oh boy. Well, you can probably
Yeah.
tell the
Yeah.
same guy and
Yes.
the picture on the left, or your left.
Yes.
It's
Gotcha.
my old man, and
Yeah.
that was my mom before she passed away. I was
Okay,
probably like
okay.
2, 1.5,
Okay.
2 in this picture.
Okay.
In Miami, in Florida, I have my mother's sister, who's like a mother to me after my mom passed away.
Gotcha.
And still is today.
Okay.
They live in Miami, and they have 2 kids who are adopted from Korea.
Oh wow,
And
that's
so
cool.
on the right, those are, how would you say this? I mean, they're not really my brother and sister, but I don't have any brothers or sisters.
Kind of like step
No,
brothers,
they're
not
like
really.
brothers and
They're like-
sisters.
they're
They're like a
like-
brother and a sister to me. Yeah. And I
Okay.
think partially that's distance. You know, distance does actually make people grow fonder, if you will, or whatever. But
Yeah, guaranteed.
from
Yeah.
Minnesota to
Yeah.
Florida is, I don't know how many miles, kilometers, whatever. But every year in the winter time when Minnesota is knee-deep in snow, chest-deep in snow, we go to Miami for a couple of weeks. And
Okay.
that's us at the beach.
Oh, that's great, man. Come on,
And,
Miami.
oh, yeah.
Beautiful. Jorge Masvidal, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Hell yeah. Let's do it. Let's grab the next one, brother.
All right. So what do we got here?
We have got, this will be a Chipotle.
Okay.
So we're kind of just going through like a chill flight, right? So this is a Chipotle.
All right.
It's kind of like smoky, a little bit sweet, like a honey-ish.
All right. Well, let me sample
make
this
that one.
thing.
So get on that, man. Get in on that action.
One thing that's hard to find in Taiwan is a good barbecue sauce. I find in a lot of restaurants. So this
We
is-
actually have a decent barbecue sauce that we make here. It's not on our flight
Plug.
because it's not it's not bad. The funny thing is, we make so many sauces here, and people are always like, "Man, you should bottle this. You should bottle this." And I'm like, I never even thought about it because again, like we were talking about with the coach, sometimes when you're doing your own thing, like I've been doing this for 15 years, so that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast, because it's like, it's new, it's something fun,
Oh, yeah.
it's something that I know. I do know a lot about it now after 3 years, but it's something that I knew very little about, and it's exciting. And I don't want to say I know everything about a restaurant, but it's like, I'm 44. It's been my life for 15 years. I've been in here, Taiwan for 20 years. 15 of them I've been a restaurant guy. From standing a night market, into a restaurant, to completely broke for probably almost a decade. And then, started coming back, and then all of a sudden COVID comes, and then, it destroys your bank account.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of coming back up, and now things are getting back to normal and getting kind of nice
Semi-normal,
again,
yeah.
semi-normal, kind of like, we're not like making huge money, we're not rich, but it's getting to a point where it's like, okay, there's money in the bank again. If I want to go and buy a new microphone, I can. Whereas before, it's like, okay, well,
counting your pennies and whatever.
counting your pennies in a piggy bank for a busted old GoPro, so you can, look. So yeah, so I
Man,
think
that was me last year, man. I mean, I had no income for 3 months, right?
That's-
And it just and I still think, and I still have students who haven't really come back. They'll maybe one class here, one class there, but they were the students who were before COVID were kind of very consistent, or at least quite consistent anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
They haven't come back or whatever. So, but yeah, it's
it's
tough, man.
It's a tough road, man. I mean, like I said, it's been 15 years. Now, again, we're to a point where I want to do some expanding. I want to try that. We expanded twice, and we closed the second one just before COVID, and which was lucky.
Yeah.
But now, I want to do it again. But I got to go home. I haven't seen my mom. I haven't seen my dad, and my daughter has
finally can go home now.
I
too,
finally
right? Yeah.
can without, the quarantine on the way back. And my daughter has, obviously she knows my family, but she's 10 and she's been to Canada. Okay, one when she was 1.5, which she doesn't really remember. Yeah, and then one when she was like 5. So it's like, it's tough. It's a tough one being an overseas person. But I also think that I think it grows you a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have friends, you know, my high school friends, when I go back home, and I love them. I love them all, and I love chatting with them, and they're great. But it's definitely when I came here, I've had to go through hell. Mm-hmm. I mean, being broke for so, and going through COVID. I mean, 3 months of losing money here.
Oh, yeah.
You know, taking, you know, and hustling and making tamales and making everything so that we could kind of make sure we take care of our staff. Yeah, make it through. And we did, and now it's good. And it's great, you know, that there's some money now in the account, but it was tough. You know, everything was going to zero.
Yeah, tell me about it, man.
Everything was going to minus. You're just like, okay, how much longer? 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
I mean, like I said,
rough, man.
Even
really
coaching
rough.
hasn't gotten back to where it was before.
I think now hopefully things are starting to get back to normal. I hope. I'm not sure. The restaurant is, I wouldn't say normal, but it's getting back there. It's getting back, so it's good. It's good.
Good,
yeah.
Good.
It's nice. Yeah.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I don't know about Kaohsiung. I mean, was it a huge effect in Taipei? Was a huge effect. I mean,
you know,
I guess you can't compare because that's where you live, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my whole feeling on COVID, I'm a little bit more. I probably will say things that are controversial.
No, do it because I
I
think similarly. Yeah.
I really think that, you know, I know that there are people who've lost their lives. I've had friends who've lost family members. I know that it wasn't a bogus. I've read all sorts of bullshit bullocks on the internet, if you will.
Plandemic, scamdemic.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Yeah.
But I mean, I had a conversation on the internet actually last night about this, where it's like, you know, oh, Taiwan did a really good job, and I think, you know, to a certain extent they did, right? But it's like, what are the long-term effects of this? I mean, I walk down one of the main streets of Kaohsiung almost every day to go to the gym or to go to work. It's the same road, just different directions, right? And I see restaurants that, you know, 2 years ago were thriving, and they're boarded up, and the stuff is being ripped out, and there's like empty, you know, for rent, empty for rent, empty for rent.
Yeah. And
it's like, and somebody last night on the internet made. I usually I don't get involved in online chats, but every time somebody makes some sort of outlandish comment about, you know,
it's always a foreigner.
Yeah, it's always one of us.
It's always one of us, and makes us look bad.
Sad face. But yeah, it's like, and the point was made. Well, the death numbers would have been far worse than the implications of any sort of economic downturn. And it's like, yeah, but you don't really factor. There's no news story about the number of people whose lives have been devastated, being unable, you know what I mean, they've lost their businesses. And it's like, it's not just a business. Not all those people are loaded, you know what I mean, like their life savings, right? Like, that's what they've wanted to do their entire life, and they were doing well.
Yeah.
It's like gyms closed all the time. It's like, yeah, but you're going to tell me that there was no effect of COVID? Like, you could not do business for 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, you could not. And restaurants, like, if you don't have Uber, you don't have Food Panda, right? You're fucked. You're absolutely fucked.
Well, even with Uber and Food Panda, most people don't know this, but they take 35%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I say it as many times as I can because people are like, hey, yeah, I get Uber from you guys all the time. And I will always reply, you know, we have built our own online ordering system. Order directly from me. I'll give you whatever.
Plug.
Yeah, you know, you got to have it, right? Because Uber keeps basically 40%.
Yeah.
Well, 35 plus the 5% of tax. So that's not quite half, but it's almost half.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you're still paying your staff and your food and all that stuff. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to another extent, like, I wouldn't order from most of the places that I order from. I wouldn't go there at all if I, you know, because they're too far or inconvenient or whatever.
I find new places on. I just started using Uber Eats.
Yeah.
I was against it for a long time, but
I understand.
I'm a big YouTube guy.
Yeah.
And who's the king of YouTube is Mr. Beast, right? And so Mr. Beast has a brand called Beast Burger, and they're actually in Taiwan.
Yeah.
I mean, they're cooperating with the brand called Just Kitchen. So they have Beast Burger here, and my daughter loves Mr. Beast. I love Mr. Beast. So I'm like, let's get that. So I signed up.
And we've got it in Kaohsiung now too, as well.
Yeah, Mr. Beast too. Yeah. So Mr. Beast, Beast Burger. So basically, yeah, I set up my Uber Eats just so we could get Beast Burger. And then when I go on there, I found that in Tianmu, of course, there's lots of Indian restaurants, but there's one that's like not even a restaurant. Apparently, it's like some 7th floor dude with a kitchen. I don't know how it is that he got on Uber Eats, but
he's there.
But he's there, and it's like these little Indian lunch boxes, and they're vegetarian, and they're really good. And you know, my driver, I'm like, oh, you know, that one usually it's a bit later, and I asked the driver, I'm like, is everything okay? And they'll say, well, this is it's like some dude on the 7th floor in his kitchen. And I was like, oh, really? That's interesting. So I don't know how Uber works with that, but yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it must work somehow.
It works somehow, yeah, for sure. And good. And I love Indian. I love Mexican. As long as the food is good, I just like good food, man. So we need to go out and do some more food things. But
speaking of good food,
yeah. How the wings?
What's this one?
So this one, grab it, man. That should be cayenne, I believe.
Oh,
yeah.
God, is this gonna make you cry?
No. We're just doing kind of like a. Yeah, that's cayenne. Yeah, just kind of like a mellow soap. The funny thing was this cayenne sauce. We home make it as well, but this
nice and sour.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's got a lot of vinegar. So that was kind of like our first attempt. So buffalo is made with cayenne, but it's got a lot of butter.
Yeah.
So we were making. This was my first attempt at like a buffalo-ish sauce without the butter, and people liked it. But eventually, people still love the buffalo. So we keep them both on the menu, and they both do pretty good, man. Yeah, the buffalo is our best seller by far. So we use the original buffalo sauce is 50-50 Frank's and butter, right? Frank's hot sauce. But we were like, okay, so we did that for a while.
It's also fantastic. By
Thanks,
the way,
man. That's our. We make that from scratch as well.
Plug.
Yeah, plug. Yeah, and basically, so 50-50. Yeah, I decided I'm going to try to make my own Frank's sort of sauce knockoff because during COVID, nobody was importing Frank's anymore.
Yeah.
So I said, let me make my own. And then I made my own, and I got to the point, like this point, where I thought, well, I don't want to switch back to Frank's now because this is way better.
Yeah.
It's like, it's made with like the fresh long cayenne peppers from the market and stuff like that, which is going to turn out way better than like a bottled Frank's, right?
Yeah.
So it's great. And Frank's is a bit salty, I think. In my opinion, it's a bit salty.
Yeah.
But with the butter, it cuts it down. But it's still, and Taiwanese, if you make something really salty, they're like, what the hell? Shit. But now with this one, I think we kind of,
Just a different palate, I think.
Yeah. I think we've got a little closer to I wouldn't say anything's perfect, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close to
really
what
nice.
I want. Yeah.
I mean, little known fact about me, my girlfriend gives me shit all the time.
Okay.
About like how I like the flavors that I like. Basically,
Okay.
my favorite flavors are smoky and sour, and that's
Oh wow. Okay.
about it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Most people are like
So
I like
barbecue,
sweet
Texas barbecue,
Oh, God.
American barbecue. Yeah, American barbecue. So I love barbecue. I grew up. Mexicans do pretty good barbecue, but it's mostly like grilled, like carne asada type thing. Canadians have like great barbecue with like, burgers and, steaks and hamburger hot dog on the grill. But coming here, I met a few people, Bobby Kevin's, Texas Tom, a few different places where they actually do like American Texas like barbecue, like and after you get like an 18-hour
brisket,
slow
that kind of thing.
smoke, slow cooked brisket. That's next level. As much as I love barbecue from all over the world, when you get one of those briskets, forget about it.
Yeah.
It's like, forget it. No
Forget it.
contest.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's like
I
you
love
don't want it to end. It's just,
Yeah, you're sad when you're finishing your plate. You're
I
like,
usually
oh,
am
shit,
a
that's
very
the last piece.
fast eater. Like
Okay.
for me, food is fuel. I don't really
Okay.
consider that much. Like I just like, okay, it's got this. I'm doing this tomorrow. I got to have this, and this.
I love
okay,
it.
That's in my diet. I go.
Yep.
But with brisket, it's one of those things you can just. It's kind of like for me. I also really like cheesecake. So it's like
Okay.
if it's
Brisket
one of
and
those
cheesecake,
really
let's
good
go.
like key lime pie style cheesecake,
Yeah.
cheesecakes or whatever. Just it's like you want to just enjoy. It's kind of like how I am with beer. I don't often drink, but it's like when it comes to a beer, I'll have one,
Yeah.
but it'll be like the one that I can just sit and sip for an hour.
Yeah. Well, next time I'll have a nice dark beer for you, man. Yeah. Actually, dark is my favorite as well. It's a tough sell though on tap.
Okay.
Because it's definitely the slowest. I think here, this is kind of like Little America, right? But the American school and stuff like that. So IPAs are the best seller by far, and then the lager.
Okay.
And then you get
Makes
everything
sense.
else, and then the dark.
I was the only one that I
Yeah.
knew in college who liked Guinness.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
And it was
There you
like I could just sit at everybody else would be doing this and that, Budweiser, whatever,
Shots of
American
Cuervo.
Beals, and I'd just be sitting there with a. Well, I mean, I did my fair share of those as
So
well.
did I. Yeah, of course.
If you want me, but it's like a shot of Cuervo, and I'd be sitting there with my Guinness, and everyone would be looking at that and like,
And then they try, and they're
"Fuck
like,
is
"Oh, it's
that?
gross."
It tastes like coffee." It's like, not really. It's fantastic. It's
Yep.
wonderful.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree, brother. Let's do a quick rapid fire here, yeah, just for fun.
How quick?
Yeah, and then let's go. So,
This is my favorite one so far.
yeah, really,
Just that sour
awesome.
vinegar.
Yeah, so
I mean-
that's really like a really condensed, like a really concentrated sort of a sauce with like fresh garlic, onion,
like
and it's like simmered, and of course it's mixed with vinegar. And yeah, I love that.
I mentioned a moment ago, my girlfriend gives me shit all the time. It's like, we'll go to a hot pot place. Yeah. And we'll have like the sour, what is it? The
Suan La, no.
No,
the mala huo, the spicy, no?
It'd be, I usually go with like a...
The sour based
I can't even think
right?
of the Chinese at the moment.
Yeah.
It's like they have like the,
Ooh,
the,
don't
the
touch
sour
your eyes.
the sour vegetable.
Yeah.
Suan
Cai.
Yeah. And the bai cai.
That's actually what it's called,
Suan
cai.
And then pork in there. And then what do I do? I'll take it out of there. It's already sour.
Yeah.
I'll put it in vinegar and
chives,
so like super
or
whatever.
Okay.
Oh, and she's just like,
super
how can
sour.
you do that? It's like that. What's that Reese's Pieces peanut butter cup commercial? Or Reese's peanut butter cup commercial where it's like he ate the inside of the cup peanut butter cup beforehand.
Yeah.
And the outside is just the ring. And it's like,
yeah.
How do you do that, Raj? And it's like, how do you eat that? It's good.
It's good, exactly.
It's good.
I love it. I love it.
I don't know how else to explain it.
All right, let me go. Typical breakfast for you.
None. Coffee. Black coffee.
Black coffee. So you're doing is that intermittent fasting, or you just don't want to start your metabolism?
On days where I don't train, it's part of intermittent fasting.
Okay.
And on days that I do train, it's just I eat before, like a half an hour before I train.
No intermittent fasting on
days that I train.
Trains.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's just a habit. I can't eat in the morning. I feel shit.
Me too. Yeah. But Tony was saying eat a little bit and then go, which is because I usually do training fasted.
I mean,
but I'm also trying to burn my fat. I'm not trying to get strong man.
Well, also that's part of it is calorie control as well, because I'm trying to make weight. I don't want to go too crazy with that. I compete in a lower weight class, so I have to actually make weight.
Gotcha.
When I was doing the super heavyweight.
Yeah.
When I was heavy, I don't know if you have that in the pictures or not.
I do. We're going to go through those. Yeah.
When I was bigger, I would eat breakfast on days that I trained, but I would still fast on days that I didn't train. Then I would eat breakfast.
Okay.
On those days, it would be like I would make little waffles and like eggs, and that would be my go-to.
Love it. I love
black coffee.
I love bacon and eggs. I just but the eggs have to be
just right.
And I try not to be a dick about that, but I love that stuff. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Okay.
I mean, I like. I'm not, like I said, I don't know how fast-paced you want to go here. I like feeling comfortable in the winter here. But I come from a cold place, and we have like 2 months of summer. Like there's like 8-10 months of summer here. I love it.
I agree. And you live in Kaohsiung.
I live in Kaohsiung, where the weather is.
So
the weather is just better.
For sure. Yeah. Then you go to Kending and stuff, right? Which is nice. I love Kending.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't even know if I should ask this one. Favorite body part to work on? Yeah.
You know this because you asked me before
exactly.
the podcast.
Yeah.
People are usually shocked that when I tell them I don't like to train. I actually quite hate it. It's one of I train 5 days a week right now, and it's like the days like today where I don't train. Those are the days that I look forward to. It's like most people are like, I finished work, I can go to the gym. Yeah.
But you're like, I put in my work.
It's
done.
like what I do. Training myself is part of my job.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I don't look
100%.
forward to it. And I don't look. I mean, it's one of those things where if you ever watch me train, or if you watch any of my videos, where it's like I'm like trying to get the adrenaline, and I'm trying to like. Most of the time, I'm just trying to. I don't mean to be a dick in the gym. I don't mean to be an asshole. I don't mean to whatever. It's just I'm trying to force myself to do something that I don't want to do.
Yeah, I understand.
But for me, that's part of life, right? Like, everybody has to do that, right?
Well, same for me. When people are like, let's go out drinking, and we're going to stay at... I'm like, I don't really want to go anywhere. I kind of want to watch a movie with my kid.
Yeah.
That's what I'd rather do.
Different jobs.
Yeah. The go-to food in Taiwan night market?
Go-to food in barbecue.
Barbecue. Okay. Android or Apple? I just made these up while I was there.
I'm slowly being convinced by my fiance
to go Apple.
Okay. But I've been Android my entire life. Besides, I did buy an iPod a long time ago.
iPods are
I'm trying to remember if it was Pad or Pod because it was so long ago.
Pig, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I also have the earpods, which I like.
Okay. Oh, those are cool. All right, here's one I'm looking forward to. Liver King, marketing master or moron?
I don't really pay much attention to Liver King, actually.
Okay. You don't know him? Yeah, you can pass.
I come across his stuff, but I haven't for me, it's one of those things. I don't really pay a lot of attention to influencers.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because I think that, not to go on a tangent, but I think that they actually do a lot of. There was actually a YouTube video yesterday or today that came out that was discussing like whether quote unquote fitness influencers are they good or bad?
Okay.
I mean, it depends on who it is and it depends on what they do, but I usually am. One of the reasons why I have not started my own YouTube channel is because I don't want to be known as the influencer guy. I want to be known as the legit athlete coach who started a YouTube channel if I start one right.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's a good thing to have for sure.
I would say
because it's just marketing, right?
For him, just to look at his physique, my first guess was that he would be on something beyond liver. You know
beyond
what I mean?
liver, beyond raw meat, right? Yeah. Well, that's what a lot of people say. A lot of people are
people
saying
say that about me, and it's like, you don't know me if you think that I'm not natty. You know what I mean?
People, there's articles of him with fake abs. They said that he implanted abs. I don't even know if that's a thing. Is that a thing? Do people implant abs? I have no idea.
I've
never even
involved
heard
in
of
the
that.
strength and sports community.
I have
might
no
have to
idea.
ask a bodybuilder whether that's
best city in Taiwan.
your
favorite city in Taiwan.
My favorite city in Taiwan. Ooh, that's a hard one. I mean, I have to be honest, doing business in the north is much better.
Gotcha. Okay.
But living in the south, for me, just the weather.
It's more laid back, right?
More laid back.
Yeah.
It's just best city to visit or to live in.
I mean,
I would
just
say
favorite.
I really like Tainan. I really like Tainan.
Okay,
Tainan.
interesting.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
not just because my girlfriend, fiance
there
lives
you go.
there. I really like Tainan. I just like the feeling of it. I like the laid back, the historical aspect to it. The way that I hate the driving, but beyond the driving, I don't drive. So
yeah, I don't drive either. Yeah, Taiwan, you don't have to, which is great.
I would say Tainan is a great place to live. To visit, I really like Taitung.
Okay.
Really like Taitung.
Interesting.
Mountains and beach on the opposite sides. It's
Okay.
fantastic.
Go through a couple more here.
Sure.
Favorite movie?
I'm not much of a movie guy.
Okay.
Favorite movie?
Pumping Iron.
No,
I love that
no,
movie.
no,
You don't
no.
like that one?
I don't like to sit.
I love
spend
Arnold.
so-
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hate watching food shows, and people are like, oh, you must watch those all day. I'm like, no. The best thing was when this game came out, the cell phone game called Restaurant City. And people are like, oh my God, Restaurant City. And I'm like, well, what's that? They're like, oh, it's where you can go in and you got to open a restaurant. You've got a budget and you've got all these staff. And when they get pissed off, they quit. And customers come in. And when they wait too long, they give you shitty reviews and they quit. And I'm just like, that's my life.
Yeah,
I don't want to play that game.
Your
That sounds
dream
like
is to play that? That's my nightmare.
That's my nightmare. I will never touch that game. That's my life.
I would say I'm kind of a sappy history
Oh, beauty.
sort of a thing. So
Okay.
things like Braveheart, things like
Ooh, I love that.
300.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Beautiful.
That said, I'm a guy, I haven't seen like a movie in the cinema for probably 10 years.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay, shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of the movies that I've seen recently probably have been like anime, like not anime, but like cartoon movies.
Well,
that
because
my
your son.
watched. Yeah,
Because your
my
son,
son
of
watches.
course.
Yeah.
We have a movie theater across the street, so we go a lot. Yeah, that's kind of like my vacation. That I get to shut my brain off, take my kid for some popcorn and a movie.
Yeah, well, for me, I
It's
feel like I just got really tired. I know that there are other movies besides Hollywood movies, but I've gotten really tired of the Avengers number 78.
Avengers?
And like, it's just, can we have something new, please? Right?
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, two more. Dream job.
Dream job?
Or are you living it?
I cannot see myself doing something else at this point in my life.
So you're living it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Dream.
I love it.
I mean, I love being a coach. There are, like every other job, there are things that you want to, I don't know, you want to quit, you want to throw out the window, you want to do whatever with, but I cannot see myself doing anything else.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And the last one,
Beyond a professional athlete. Plug.
Okay. There you go. Yeah. Sponsorship available, right?
Yeah. Hey.
Sponsor. Let's go. Most inspirational person in your life. Ooh. I don't know if I should. Yeah.
Inspirational? My dad.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I know.
To go through what he went through hell. As long as I knew him, like, I was conscious. You know, like I was, from being very, very small and not really remembering all that stuff to being like, from what I remember of him, his life was hell, and he just kept going.
Okay.
Just kept going. Part of it, that's kind of the fuel that pushes me to do some of the things that I do.
Okay.
Is remembering, like, yeah, this yoke feels heavy. These farmers feel heavy, but it's nothing like cancer, man.
Yeah.
That's going to get me emotional.
No, I love. I wrote these before I knew. So yeah, I was pretty sure when I got that. I'm like, that's the one.
It's all good, man.
That's the one. I'm like, I know it's Dad.
It's all good.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
The last one was okay.
Beyond my dad,
Beautiful.
probably my son. He also the
Kids,
tattoo
man.
on my arm. Right.
Oh,
like he pushes
did he
me.
write that? That's beautiful.
He wrote it on paper when he was
Okay.
like in first grade, and I had it tatted on my arm.
That's beautiful. I love that.
So he
Right
pushes
on.
me. I want him to be proud of me.
Well, let's go through, finish these pictures off before we get the last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So this is.
I love it. That's such a great picture, dude. I love it.
You want me to explain the tattoo
Yeah,
or explain the
yeah.
picture? Because it's a little bit different.
Well, either one. I love the tattoo.
The tattoo is, well, I'll go with the tattoo because the picture is kind of self-explanatory. It's just the tattoo artist took it of me after he finished it.
Yeah.
My first tattoo, I wanted to do this for about 4 years before I did it. And I think something about lockdown and COVID kind of made me, something snapped inside of me. That was just like, you know what, things that I complain about being a coach. I complain about coaching. I complain about
We all complain
training,
about shit.
right? We all complain about shit we shouldn't really complain about, right? But it's like, at the end of the day, what I love in life was taken from me. And that was hard. And something just snapped at me. It was like, dude, you're going to be 40. The things that you say you're going to do, you've just got to fucking do them.
Fucking do it.
Fucking do them, right? And so the origins of this tattoo, there's a band that I like, that I listen to sometimes when I'm lifting extremely heavy, which their name is Slipknot.
Okay,
And there's
yeah,
a, and there's
nice.
a, and there's a,
I know
there's a
Slipknot.
song that they have from a few years ago on the Gray Chapter, which is my favorite album of theirs, which is called The Negative One. And there's that line in The Negative One that says, I'm bound to walk with a target on my back.
Okay.
At least I'm ready for another attack. And
like that. That's pretty good.
For me, it has different levels of importance for me symbolically in that my first coaching job, I was always kind of hounded by my students saying, you know, my goal is to be stronger than you. Their goal was to be stronger than me. Their goal was to be stronger than me. Their goal is to be stronger than me.
Okay.
And it was like, yeah, I'll put a target on my back. Go ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I welcome that kind of shit.
You're not
my
waiting,
goal
you're getting
as
stronger.
a coach, if my goal as a coach is not to make my students better than I am, then what the fuck is the point?
I agree.
Right? So,
100%.
hey, come and get, but I'm not going to make it easy for you.
Yeah.
Right. So here
I'm
I
not
am.
going to lie down. Here's
and
the target.
And I don't mean to get like negative here, but there are certain aspects about doing business everywhere, but also in Taiwan especially, where there's some stuff that's kind of underhanded and, you know.
Oh, man. Yeah. I know 100%.
Anybody, we'll just kind of like eye to eye, heart to heart with this kind of thing.
I used to coach soccer.
And and you know, as a foreigner, probably the only foreign coach in Taiwan, in southern Taiwan anyway. I know that there are coaches in the north. I'm sorry, I made a misspeak there. You know, I stick out in a crowd. There's a target on my back.
Sure.
And I've been the target of some stuff, and it's like, well,
really,
here I am. You're still kind of behind me. All that shit that you say online, all those things that you don't dare say to my face.
Yeah. The only reason you're doing it on my back is because you can't catch me, man.
Well, the only reason why you're doing it behind my back is because you can't catch me and you don't dare say it to my face.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's enough for me. I come from a generation and I come from a place where it's like
you smack
men,
for shit.
Your friends stab you to the front, right?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
So, you know, I mean, that's what men do as far as I'm concerned. All this behind the back bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what the women did in my generation. It was like this one would say this one about this one behind her back, and then eventually they'd have a cat fight where guys were like, all right, let's do it. Right?
Yeah. For me too. I mean,
and it's lost. That's like completely lost in the generation today, where it's like, oh, everybody has to worry about each other's feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like
appropriation stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, I have no reason to lie. You know, if I can help someone, I will always help.
Yeah,
There's no reason to lie. There's no reason to not.
There's no reason to do backhanded shit.
There's no reason. For me, anyway. I mean, that's what I think. That's what I
mean, for me, it's always kind of like the weapon of the week, right? Is to do it behind the back, right?
Agree. Yeah.
It's like if you and I have a dispute, I always appreciated the people who come to me to my face and say,
yeah, so do I.
And you know what? Maybe we'll have a disagreement and we can't resolve it, and at the end of the day, we can't be friends.
Yeah.
But more often than not, it's just some sort of a misunderstanding.
I think life, one of the most important things in any life, in any business, is communication. Communication is always what caused something good or something bad, and when there's a miscommunication, it's because people are not communicating.
Or when
enough.
people read too much into things.
Overthinking.
Yeah.
Overthinking. It's just like,
I don't have the time to sit and think about how to. Like, I don't have the time for that. I don't have the energy for that.
And I think people will overthink it because of the lack of communication, the lack of info that they got, and then it becomes like
much bigger than
what happened.
Yeah.
What? I stepped on your toe because.
Well, then just tell me.
It was an accident.
Like,
be
just
like,
tell me.
Sorry, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, just tell me.
Yeah.
I'll apologize and it's done, right? Don't
exactly.
hold it in forever and want to kill me over
100%. Next picture. Boom. Oh, that's a good one. That's like the war cry. It's like, oh, let's go.
This was a, what's the word I'm looking for? Cathartic. I competed in August.
Okay.
I was very disappointed in my performance. I mean, a lot of people were like, third place, man. Like, that's great. Like, I didn't even place. I didn't even get to compete. I didn't do this. for me, I was very disappointed in my performance. For me, it's unfinished business.
Okay.
The event before this was the axle deadlift, and deadlift is not a weak event for me. And I'll go a little bit into detail with this.
Let's go.
I came into comp. I competed at the 105 and unders, and I came into comp about a week out at 108. And I did that on purpose. I do not want to restrict my caloric intake too much for too long and affect my pre-comp, my peak and everything. I was just like, well, I've cut weight 100, maybe not 100, but at least 50 times in my life before when I was younger. Wrestling for whatever other things I was doing. Like, I've done weight cuts before, a water dump, I'll be fine. Well, either I hadn't done it enough recently or age caught up with me or something where, for me, deadlift is not a weak event for me, but it's an event that has always been my weakest, even when I did powerlifting when I was in high school.
Gotcha.
And it's just because, I don't have the levers for it. I'm not making excuses. It's just there are certain leverages that are built better for other events. I'm naturally a better bencher, naturally a better squatter. Deadlift was always my weakest. And we don't really do deadlifts in football. Like, we did trap bar stuff, but it's like a barbell conventional style deadlift. We didn't really do that. So it was like... Gotcha. Maybe I only put in 3 months of effort on my deadlift where I was putting in a whole year of my squat or a whole year in my bench or whatever.
Gotcha.
Right? And so it's one of those things where if I'm having a good day, my deadlift will be great.
Okay.
If I'm having a bad day, it'll be absolutely horrific. Where everything else is just kind of like mellow, right? And I think probably the water cut did me in. And again, I don't really know why, because I was doing on the axle above the weight that they were doing in competition.
Okay.
I was pulling 8 reps in 30 seconds, 9 reps in 35 seconds.
Jeez. Okay.
It wasn't a big deal. I couldn't get a 6th rep in comp for whatever fucking reason.
Okay.
And the only thing I can say is that I chalk it up to the water cut.
Yeah.
And I was disappointed. My friend of mine, Kieran, I don't know if he's watching this, but he probably will watch it later. Kieran was there. He was kind of like my personal entourage / coach kind of guy.
Gotcha.
He picked me up out of the dust and was like, dude, you've got one more event. You know you can win this event. You've seen the way other people train it. Your technique is better. You're faster. Just go and win the fucking event. Shut your mouth. Because I was being a little bitch. I was just like, fuck, I'm not, I came in to win. I came in to win. I'm going to put that out there. I came in to win.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't go.
That's the reason to go.
Well, yeah, that's the reason to go. Besides, unless you want just people to notice you. And,
Yeah.
I'm already kind of known, tapping myself on the back or whatever,
yeah.
but I'm known as the dude in the South who does strongman stuff. Everywhere I go, right?
Sure.
People know me as that. And it was I was thinking deadlift I would be top 2, top 3.
Gotcha.
I got 5th.
Okay.
The other events, the first event was a arm over arm sled pull. I was hoping to be in the top 5. I got 4th place in that. The yoke into farmers, I was thinking 1st, 2nd, 3rd, somewhere there. The first 2 guys, they tied for 1st place. I got 3rd.
This? Boom.
Yeah, that's
that's
warming up. And the guy, I don't know if you can see to your
Dude
far
in the back,
right.
yeah.
That's Kieran.
Okay.
Best friend a guy can have.
All right. Shout out to Kieran.
That's me warming up for the sled pull. That was not my event. I was thinking that would be my worst event just because I don't have long arms. I don't have long legs. My pulls are slower.
That makes sense, I guess.
They're not long, right? I got to be fast with it. And seeing what some of the other guys were pulling, Tony was fucking crazy with that thing. He was pulling 400-something kilos.
Really? Okay.
But, no, I did well in that event. For me, I took 4th in that event, which is much better than I was anticipating I would have done.
Okay.
The yoke into farmers, I got 3rd. I was thinking probably 2nd or 1st, but the first 2 guys ahead of me, they actually tied for 1st, so they split the points.
Gotcha.
I was sitting, my chance of getting 1st place was going to be tough, but I could rectify myself in the deadlift.
Okay.
Pissed the deadlift down my leg.
Okay.
And that was just crushing. And that was an event that I thought was... Because in strongman, it's not that you have to win every event. Obviously, you want to, but if you win every event, there's either a problem with the people you're competing against, or there's a problem with the event itself, right? The events are supposed to be spaced so that, usually people who are good at deadlifting are not good at pressing.
Okay.
And usually people who are good statically are not good dynamically, and vice versa.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's supposed to be where you need to score consistently. It's about gaining points. It's not about how much you lift. It's it is in powerlifting. It's about getting the maximum amount of points, and that's based on how you're placing in an event.
Okay.
So, to this point, I was 4th in the sled pull, which was better than I had anticipated. 3rd in the yoke, which is yoke into farmers, which is meh. Deadlift, I was thinking top 2. I got 5th.
Okay.
And I was just crushed. I was just what the fuck happened?
And you still had to compete.
And I still had to go on. And I was not trying to be melodramatic here. It was just I came into this thing and it was this is what I do. What the fuck happened to me? I got it to my knees twice and I just couldn't get it over my damn knee. I don't know what happened. And Kieran, the guy that was sitting behind me on the last picture, he sat down, and I'm like, Kieran, I don't want to fucking continue. I made an ass out of myself. He's like, shut your fucking mouth. Yeah. You got one more event, put it behind you. And he's absolutely right, because if he were my student and he were in my place, I would say, dude, shut the fuck up. And you got another event, win it.
Just win. And
he knew that I could. Yeah. I was doing the sandbag loading in 20 seconds in practice, right? Okay. Which is nothing against the other athletes. They're monsters. The guys that beat me, the guys that were top 5, top 10, whatever, they're monsters. But I knew in my heart of hearts that if it came down to the sandbag,
you got it.
I got it.
Yeah.
I came out to the sandbag, won it outright.
Okay.
And won it by, I want to say, 2.5 seconds. Which is pretty fucking...
By a lot.
And that was just me. The next picture... Just after that, it was just all that fucking frustration and anger and whatever just coming out and just being like, yeah, this is what could have happened if. And for me, that's just like something looking forward, like if I get everything together, I don't make those mistakes. If I don't overthink stuff, if I just put it all out on the line, like I did with the sandbag, I was like, fuck it. Fuck it. If I drop it, I drop it. If I win it, I win it.
Okay.
Right? So that was cathartic. That was a cathartic roar, let's say.
That's a cool one. That's a great image, though.
This is me at my biggest. Well, roughly my biggest. About a year and a half.
How much weight is on there, man? Damn.
On the squat? I don't even know.
Okay. That's massive.
200, I don't know.
Massive.
I don't even remember.
That's when the bar is like, wong, wong, wong.
Yeah, well, I mean.
Yeah.
But that was, the reason why I guess you probably included this is just because I'm quite a bit different in stature right now.
Bigger, but also the amount of weight on there is crazy. It's like, wow. Yeah.
Well, squat, I mean, especially when it comes to squat for reps, especially when I was bigger, was a good event for me. So.
Okay.
But that was me at my biggest. I was probably about 135 kilos in body weight. I'm sitting at about 107 right now.
Gotcha.
Over the whole COVID break.
Well, let's have
euphemism thing.
Well, let's have a look at that.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at that. That's a good one.
Yeah, I dropped about 30 kilos.
You're looking fantastic, man. That's a lot. That's a lot to drop, man.
We were talking about this before the podcast.
Sure.
I'm obsessive.
That's how you have to be. You have to be that way.
You have to be. I get to the point where it's almost other people don't get it, but it's like if you explain it to them in things that they're interested in, or their jobs or things that they're studying or whatever, like you get obsessed with stuff. And I had to put I had during lockdown I had to channel that into something.
Okay.
I had to channel it into something. Like I can't lift heavy now. Yeah. I still did train.
Okay.
But that was all kind of like under the rug at a friend's kind of like dojo kind of thing.
Gotcha.
We had a small gym.
Gotcha.
Thanks to Dan for that, by the way. But
it's a great one.
I had to channel all that into something, and
that's crazy.
I mean,
to get the abs
for health reasons, for just to do something to get me moving and get me motivated
and to keep you sane, right?
And to keep me sane.
Yeah, you need to have that channel.
I legit don't know how people can go through their daily lives without going to the gym and taking their frustrations out on something. You know what I mean? Like
when I
some days, like there is that meme that goes around where it's like Arnold and he's like whatever, and it's like some days it's therapy. No, most days it's therapy, right? For me anyway, it's like if I don't have that out for that stuff, I don't know where I channel it, and I'm kind of a little bit frightened of that, right? Like.
Yeah, that I mean, for me too. I think when I skip for a day or for 2 days, I can't really sleep as well. Even though if I work like a 12-hour day and I'm like, but I still can't sleep very well. I need to have something. Yeah, agreed.
Even if I'm not trained, like I'm after tomorrow, I'm going into a few days where I'm just kind of taking time off. But I've got to move. I've got to move. I can't just veg. Right? It's like I get shaky. I get like. I don't know. I get uneasy. It's
I know the feeling. Yeah. I know the feeling, brother. Yeah. I had COVID and I did 7 days and. After a few, I was like, I'm going to rearrange this room. I'm going to clean. I'm going to, like, wipe the walls. I'm going to, like, wash everything. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Day 3 of not being able to go to the gym, I was staring at the white walls of my apartment and thinking, like, what the fuck am I going to do to myself if this goes on and on and on and on?
Agree.
Yeah, no, when I had COVID as well, I wouldn't say I was particularly serious. It just so happened that I was actually at the girlfriend's and I caught it from her.
Gotcha.
And so we just kind of chilled together while we both had it. Day 3 or day 4, we went to, probably shouldn't be saying this, but we went to a forest and just walked around, like a small kind of like park area.
You need to get around
because it was like I couldn't fucking lay in bed any longer.
It's hard.
Like, I had a sore throat, but it wasn't that bad. It was just like, let's just go out and sweat. You know what I mean? Like I can't just sit here and do nothing. I don't know how people can do that.
It's tough. I mean, I had the 7 days, and I mean, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It was. I mean. first few days is good because my life is a whirlwind of craziness. So the first few days off is okay. It was nice. But then it's like...
You get to day 3, day 4,
what are we doing
day
here?
7.
Like, what are we doing here? You know? Yeah.
It's like my dad used to say when he was doing chemotherapy and radiation and he was getting like bone marrow work done and whatever. And he was in the hospital, and it's like he'd sit in that hospital and like staring at the white walls made him crazy. And I didn't really get it when I was like 17.
Yeah.
I got it when I was 39, though.
Yeah.
Jeez.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go, Dad. We still got it. Yeah. 2 more pictures, brother. Boom. You gotta have it.
Me and my boy.
Gotta have it. Gotta
Me and
have
my boy. So... You asked me...
You said 10 years old, bro.
Yeah, he's going to be 10 soon. He'll be 10 in January.
Grade 4, you said?
Yeah.
5? Grade 4? 5, 4?
Grade 4. And
okay. Yeah.
you asked me who the most inspirational people in my life are. Well, I would say one was and one is. And, you know, for me, when things get hard, the weights aren't moving, I'm feeling shit. I look at that and I think...
What am I doing? Kick myself in the ass here, right? Of course. I agree.
I mean, at the age of 39... I can legit look you in the eye and say that I'm proud of my father for the struggles that he went through. I hope my son says that about me one day.
He will.
You know?
He definitely will, man. He looks like a happy kid. And he looks like a good kid, man. Does he like school? Is he liking school?
Yeah.
Hit or miss?
Yeah, hit or miss. I think he's at the point right now where he probably starts to hate it because of
local
the homework
school and the homework,
yeah.
right? Yeah,
But,
agreed.
But he's a good kid. He's a good kid. He. I'm a little bit old school in my parenting. That doesn't mean that I hit him or whatever, but it's, you know, no means no and yes means yes.
For sure,
and,
for sure. Yeah.
And you know, he takes to that pretty well. I think I've always kind of been a believer. Like I said, I'm a little bit old school in my parenting, and
I think it should be that way.
I mean, I think especially boys with fathers, like boys kind of have to be a little bit afraid of their dads for a while. Right?
For sure.
And that doesn't mean that you got to hit him, and it doesn't mean that you got to constantly bitch and complain.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like there will be consequences to the shit that you do if it's not good shit. And
I agree.
Yeah. So.
And boys have that extra energy of like, I'm bored. I'm gonna go break shit.
They come to a point where they just don't respect their mothers as much anymore because they know that they probably can handle their mothers, but they can't handle dad. Right? Yep. That's just the law that That's the way. It's the law of the jungle, basically. It is.
Right?
It is. That's where I was going with that.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
I also have a little girl about the same age, and she's a super daddy's girl, but she has to go to jiu-jitsu. She has to do.
Well, that's just it.
Sometimes we'll skip, but. You know, when we're in our groove, I'm like, no, you have to go.
I really do think
you have to go.
That if I were to have a daughter, I probably would be more of that kind of way with my daughter if I were to have one.
Like I'm soft on certain things, but she has to have she's got to have some kind of something.
I mean, I think a lot of the little stuff. It's again old fashioned.
Sure,
mom can kind of take care of if necessary. Not that I'm putting all the responsibility on mom, but it's one of those things. But it's like. You know, when it comes to some of the other stuff, it's like, all right, your mother can't handle this. Now it's my turn.
No, that's it. That's it. I mean, like for me too, my daughter's mostly with me. I don't want to say I raised her because we both raised her, but my daughter is kind of like a little bit more Western thinking because we both grew. You know, she grew up in a restaurant. It's a Western restaurant, so she's pretty like she's a little more Western thinking. Okay. She goes to local school, so that's definitely tough because of the homework. It's tough for. Yeah. But the international school is just out of the budget. It's tough. But she still has to. She's got to do her jiu-jitsu. She just has to.
Yeah.
I mean, by the whole ideal situation for me is by the time she's like 15, 16. I mean, she's not going to be a black belt or have to be a black belt, but she's got to have something. Like she needs to know what's up.
Yeah.
Just in case there's a.
I agree 100%.
More likely than not, there'll be a situation. You know, when I'm not around, and she's an adult, and you
can't protect them from everything.
You're gonna have to throw up a triangle or something when you know what I mean. If some dude is trying to, if you can put him to sleep and get the fuck out of there, then my job is done.
I agree 100%.
My job is done.
That's something too that I think that maybe culturally it's a little bit different. You mentioned your daughter's Western way of thinking and your own Western way of thinking. I think that. There are times and things that you just can't protect them from being children. And it's
Taiwan's very safe. It's a very safe place.
Very safe, but you don't know what.
But,
I mean, I've been threatened with sticks as well before. And a baseball bat before. So it's like
Agreed.
Safe, to an extent, right?
Yeah. One more picture, bro.
Sure, no worries.
Boom.
Okay. Well,
I guess there's two.
There's two. This is she's my fiance.
Okay. Congrats.
My son's mother and I are divorced.
Okay.
This is my girlfriend / fiance, Julie. She lives in Tainan. Or she's originally from Gangsan, but she lives in Tainan.
Gotcha.
She's also a coach, personal trainer. We met a little over a year ago, and it's kind of funny. I always told myself I was never going to date a personal trainer, a female personal trainer.
Oh, okay.
And then look what happened.
Well, there you go.
So
now
when
you
we
can build
met,
your empire together.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's moving in that direction. When we met, she was more interested in doing bikini stuff and that kind of thing. And I always told my students who had met her that I was going to slowly kind of pull her over to the dark side.
Okay.
And she went. When we went to the SBD weight testing stuff before pre-comp stuff, where they were testing weights and that kind of thing and testing events. She was watching that, and she went with me, and she was on watching that, and she was like, "This looks kind of fun." I'm like, "I keep telling you, right?" She ended up competing and going, following
Kicking
with me.
ass.
Maybe this is a product plug for Nate. I don't know, but as she was training, she was like, she started from zero, like an empty yoke, 80 kilo yoke she couldn't pick up.
Okay.
Right, to finishing 9th in her weight class, which is pretty damn good for 3-4 months of training.
That is good.
And she wants to compete again in this.
Beautiful.
And she wants to compete in strongman. And it's one of those things where she's an inspiration to me as well, because it's like the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
Right? A blank slate, a white piece of paper. Yeah.
Speaking of that, there's a strongman coming up in March,
There
right?
is.
Let's have a plug for that. Come
All right.
on.
Well, there's got to be a plug for this. Because
There's got to be a
I'm
plug
one
for
of
the strongman. Let's go.
Three main people who are putting this on.
Yeah.
The Chijin Beast Bash. Again, let me say that again. The Chijin Beast Beach Bash, which will be next year, 2023, March 4th and 5th, which is the first Saturday and Sunday in March. It'll be at Chijin, which is in Kaohsiung.
Okay,
on the beach. And we're going to have 6 events.
Beautiful.
It's kind of more of like a local show, a little bit more laid back.
Is it going to be like any live streaming or anything? Is it any video?
We're working
or
on it.
anything?
I'm hoping.
Let me know. Let me
on
know
it.
if you need some help with
Dude, that was.
I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
in.
Yeah, we've got. We're in the mix for a live stream. I definitely want to have a live stream just because I think, if you want, also some of our sponsors, I think, would also love to have, and anybody else who would want to be a potential sponsor.
Sponsors, yes,
to be able to get any sort of, beyond the Taiwan local market and outside, anybody. You never know, and I think you can attest to this as well, Eddie.
You don't know who's watching.
You don't know who's watching. You don't know who's watching, and if you can open up avenues and open up business avenues and whatever, again, like live stream for me would be huge. It's a 2-day event, 3 days, 3 events per day, and 4 weight classes per sex. So for women's weight classes, it's 55 kilos and under, 65 and under, 75 and under, and 75 and over. And then for men's, it's 75 and under, 90 and under, 105 and under, and then 105 and over.
Okay.
And
is there an age sort of? Nope. So 25-year-old guy and a 65-year-old guy.
As far as like liabilities and stuff, probably you're gonna have to be an adult to compete.
Okay.
But we're hashing all that stuff out right now.
Beautiful. I love it.
But if any of you are interested, I think you've included my Instagram.
That's
my
all there.
website,
I've got your website. I've got your Facebook. I've got the Instagrams.
Hit me up.
This is the man to talk to.
We're going to be opening up registration for it's an open invitational, and I'll explain what that is.
Okay.
Basically, I decided, or the 3 of us, the other 2 people that are helping me with this, that's Lin Liwei in Kaohsiung also. Shout out to Draft House, by the way. Ooh. And also Graham Dart. Shout out to the Chijin Sunset Beach, the 3 of us that are putting this together. And also thank you to Red Point as well.
Ooh, Red
sponsorship.
Point.
Yeah.
We love Red Point.
We love Red Point. We love you, Red Point, helping sponsor the event. Where was I going with this?
We're talking about the event,
right?
March, man. March Madness.
We decided that it's going to be an open invitational, meaning that invitations have been sent to all the athletes that I have contact information from the SBD event who finished in the top 5 of their weight classes.
Okay.
Should have all received invitations. If you haven't, that's likely because I was unable to find your personal information. You can always hit me up on Instagram, or whatever. And the rest of the placements are all open for registration. So that the open registration will start November 7th right now. That may be subject to change, but pretty much that's in stone. We're working on the website right now, getting all that stuff set up.
Okay.
Shout out to Mumi for helping put that together. And it's going to be fun. It's going to have more of a local kind of feel to it if you're familiar with watching like Instagram local sort of competitions.
Excellent.
Not as much production level stuff as...
that doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter. No, for me, it's all about, again, for me, it's about the athletes.
Getting
it's
eyes
about
and
building the
sport.
Building the sport, It's about the athletes.
Love it.
And kicking some ass.
I love it.
Kicking some ass.
100%, brother.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
Why we're here.
Beautiful. Let's grab this last one here.
All right. This is
also an Empress hot sauce.
Okay.
This is a ghost pepper one, but
Okay.
this is actually, yeah. Anyways,
again, I'm kind of a wuss because I have
it's
a really
not-
heavy day tomorrow in the gym, and I don't want to be contending with the potential of
No. We didn't do, anyways, yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, I also, yeah.
Thank you so much for this.
Brother, thank you for coming out.
Minute,
Let's give a
huh?
little cheers. Yes. And while this is definitely a little spicier than the other ones, but it's not, it's not the usual level
Nice and
of
sour and
redonkulous.
spicy,
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
like
so basically, one more thing I want you to talk me through.
Sure.
We had a lot of pictures today, but through this little video here, right? You ready to rock?
Yeah.
Boom. So this is fun.
This was actually just a couple of days ago. This was on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
This is me doing a log that I had not done, log tuning press that I hadn't done for a long time, and gym fucked me. So that was not a PR. It was a recent PR. Just because I haven't been training log that much recently, just because there's been no real need to do so. It wasn't in the last competition. A bit of a mistake on my part, to be honest, but
Okay. So what happens is it's a head rush, just pushing too much. Or the average Joe has never tried to push that much.
well, for me, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I was wondering when this would finally come to me, because I've been strength training to various capacities now for over 20 years.
And it's never happened.
And it's never happened. I've seen videos, and I was like, this has got to happen. I mean, not that I'm looking forward to it, it's just like, when will it come to me?
Gotcha.
And I've gotten dizzy before after doing a lift, especially I do things called zombie squats, front squats. Everybody's kind of gotten choked with doing front squats before. Or whatever.
Yeah.
You get a little bit dizzy. You might even get like a twitchy arm or something, right? But you get out of it, right? And so I'm thinking, maybe this will never happen to me. Like the
Dodge that bullet.
The pass out fairy will never visit me. But no, I think it was just part of it was just the adrenaline, because I hadn't pushed that in a long time, and successfully anyway. I tried multiple times, but I hadn't pushed that successfully in a long time.
You were pretty happy about it.
And I'm pretty
after
happy.
you did it.
Yeah. One of my friends who saw it also was kind of like, it's even funnier because you shouted and then you passed out.
Yeah.
I was like, I was pumped. Like, that was a weight that I was stuck at for a while. But no, it's just basically it's the blood pressure spike and then the immediate drop, right? So if you ask the two ladies who were helping me there, the one is my fiance and the other one is a student of mine. They were like, your face is all red, and then it went
freaked out, for
immediately white. Well, my girlfriend had seen it before because
Okay.
she's a coach.
Okay.
And I've
No
seen it
problem.
before too. I've had students who've, for whatever reason, a barbell on a front squat will roll back on them, or doing an
Okay.
overhead. It happens a lot with overhead.
Gotcha.
Just
Okay.
because
Gravity,
different
I
shearing
guess.
forces and
Yeah.
And but basically it's like I said, it's a blood pressure spike and an immediate drop. And I was thinking, like, if this thing were ever to happen to me, there'd be some sort of warning. Like
Okay.
you slowly kind of like see the world turning black around you. This was
It's like a light switch.
immediate. Yeah, it was immediate. Like I threw it down, I was like, yeah, and then I just hit the floor. And
I think we're okay.
we're good. Thank
Yeah.
you. Where was I at? Oh,
Yeah, the
And-
blood pressure drop,
Yeah.
spike drop.
and the adrenaline and whatever. And if I were to show you the whole video, you'll see me kind of like trying to psych myself up a little bit and kind of getting as much oxygen in and letting adrenaline out and whatever. But anyway, to cut to the chase, when I went out, it was just like I remember throwing the log down
Yeah.
and being like, yeah. And that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons why I actually throw it forward.
And you remember, yeah, okay.
I remember that, but it was like I woke up and I was like, did it fall down and hit me? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
Did it get blindsided or something?
yeah, and I like touched my head and I'm like, am I bleeding? And my girlfriend was like, no, you're fine. You just went under.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, how
and
long?
do you always
Couple
have
seconds.
do you always have a camera or something set up like that, or
Well,
That was just a lucky occurrence?
I record all of my sets.
Okay.
And that's just me being OCD.
Ah,
Like I
that's
want to, like
fantastic.
if
Perfect.
I fail,
Perfection.
if I fail, I want to know why,
okay,
and I want to learn from it. And if I hit it, I want to know why I didn't fail.
okay,
And part of it is also kind of like a record for myself because, again, you were mentioning before having Tony, send you a plan, send
Yeah.
you a program.
Beautiful. I
You know,
loved
like
it.
like
I
you've
love
got to
it.
go into the gym with a plan because
Yeah.
I mean, you going to the gym
If
is
not,
better
the
than
dad
not going
bod
to the gym.
creeps. Yeah.
But if you want to like progress over time, make progress over time.
Sure.
You've got to follow something. Right?
Yeah.
And
Steps like
and I want to see my
climbing a ladder.
progress, and I want to see, okay, I did this week. This is my evidence that like 3 weeks later, if I did this, and I can't remember, have I done this before? It's written in my log, it's in my videos. And I have that, and not only that, it's also a teaching tool for my students. It's like, look at this, I fuck up too, right? We aren't all perfect. Not every lift is perfect. And yeah, like, and another thing too, it's like, some people are kind of like laughing about it, and I laugh about it too. It's like, you got to own that shit, man. It's like, there's nothing to be...
Well,
you know
most
I mean?
people have never lifted anything like that either, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't that heavy, but but it's like, it's one of those things you just got to own it and not be afraid of it. It's like, the worst that can happen is you hit your head, get a couple stitches, you're back the next day. Like, I got up from that, I was laughing, I was smiling. I continued to train for another 3 hours.
And you finished the workout.
Yeah, and I trained the next day.
That's crazy.
And I had a great day.
Okay.
Like, yesterday was a great training day. So.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So yeah.
Well, brother, we made it all the way through. You know, it's funny because a lot of people, before they come on, they're like, "Oh, I don't know if I can talk for an hour." We've done.
I just never shut up.
We've done over an hour and a half, I believe. Where are we at here? Yeah, something like that. Hour and a half, hour and 40.
We got lots to talk
about.
But
yeah, brother. I will definitely, before the event, I would love to have you and Tony at the same time.
Definitely. Anytime you want to have me, man.
Okay, beautiful. I love that.
And we'd love to have you down south, too.
Maybe we'll come down and we'll bring all the gear down and we'll do something fun. I actually did sort of an on-the-road show with Canadian guy Wes Davies in Kaohsiung, at Legends in Kaohsiung. So it was fun. It was a fun thing.
And also with...
down for the live stream, down for everything, bro.
With a live stream, yeah, definitely. Definitely, it's good stuff.
Yes, thank you, sir. What are we cheersing with this?
I guess water, yeah.
Water, okay.
Beer, too.
Okay.
We could do more than one.
I love sparkling. I love the sparkling.
Happy to be here.
We have sparkling on tap, and I drink so much sparkling water. It's
very nice.
It's silly.
That's one of the things I kind of lived off of when I was doing my big cut over.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Nice to have something fizzy with a little bit of flavor, because it's like you're drinking only water. And
that's tough. Water gets boring. Yeah. But before we call it, do you have anything you want to say? Anything we missed?
Again, thank you to everybody who's watching this. Anybody who's interested, please reach out to me on Instagram. Thank you to Eddy, and thank you to your venue here for hosting this. And,
thanks for coming.
And doing what you're doing. It's great.
Thank you.
And all the guys, the guys who are helping me with the, trying to get the word out with the competition, sponsors. We thank you very much. And we're going to go and crush it in March.
Sounds good, brother. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for making the trip all the way from Kaohsiung just to do the podcast. It's really flattering for me.
It's your turn next time.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll do it next time. Yeah.
All right, good stuff.
So when I do something like that, the whole family's coming down. We'll go to the beach.
Great.
It'll be beautiful.
Great.
Yeah.
There are lots of nice beaches in that area, too.
I know. That's one of the things. I mean, we
Chijin,
have. There you go. We'll be there. Yeah.
Stuff.
Thank you guys for watching the show. Thank you for checking it out. We did a little bit earlier today because my man had to come all the way from Kaohsiung, and now he's got to head back.
Train.
So I appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.